My name is Han, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Jarsy, and so great to be Tokenpost. Thank you for having me. My career actually started from machine learning. That's like my PhD topic. Maybe today I'll just call AI. But yeah, back then it was machine learning, financial forecasting. And in 2010, actually, I got an opportunity to work at Facebook. Work with Zach Markover very closely. Work with him on a project called Graph Search, because Facebook data is slightly different than the Google data. It's graph-based rather than text-based. I learned a lot from him. And in 2014, I joined another company called Uber, and also worked with Travis Kalanick, the CEO, closely on the growth in Asia. I built Uber China, built a business in Uber China from $0 to $8 billion for 2 years. I luckily learned a lot from him as well. 2019, I was at a company called Afterpay, buy now, pay later. And that one is also interesting. Work with CEO Nick Moeller. So that from that journey, from zero pre-product to $30 billion acquisition by Square, by Jack Dorsey. So yeah, that's my background. But I learned a lot from those three billionaires, how to build a new product. Yeah, so that's me. And in terms of Jarsy, actually, we actually democratize financial accesses to everybody, to allow people to invest in pre-IPO like SpaceX or Anthropic. Yeah, so actually all three things tie back to my experience at Facebook, Uber, and Afterpay. And those three founders and self-made billionaires actually have very different personality. They have different sector to work on, but they actually taught me one thing in a consistent way. They basically told me that if you want to build something new, build something that people haven't seen before, like a social media to media, ride sharing to Uber, right, to taxi, you have to like really look into the millennials and Gen Z, the young folks basically, because the previous generations, boomers, Gen X, I mean, they're fine. They have their own system. They already have framework working around them. So yes, they may have pain points, but the younger generation have more pain points. And if you build for them and grow with them, fulfill what they need, you will build something that's fascinating, that's like everybody can use. So that's what I learned from them. So when I create my own company, I actually talk to the young folks. I talk to people in the US, in Asia, Europe. Everyone actually told me they have one consistent pain point, which is they love Elon Musk. They want to invest in Elon Musk companies. I mean, Tesla is the only one, but there's also like SpaceX or XAI. But they couldn't, because it's only for big money, for institutions. Yeah, and those companies try to delay IPO, not blaming on them, but they have their own reasons. But young folks cannot enjoy that growth. They can only cheer for it, but cannot invest. So that reminded me how I saw at early days at Uber, Facebook, the insiders actually got equity because people work there, they got incentive, they grow with the company. I'm also a lucky one there. But at Afterpay, I saw how innovation, tech innovation, can actually help people to provide more accessibility to everyone. So my experience combined together, I feel like, okay, I can solve this problem. That's why we built Jarsy. Yeah, that's a great question. We definitely see a lot of traditional players there. They're trying to at least bring something, or the pre-IPO to something closer to the investors. They did a great job there from a traditional way, but not enough. So for example, they may send your shopping not to your door, but maybe to your neighborhood, but they couldn't send it to your door. So there are reasons there. For example, they have regulatory structures and their cost is high. That's why they have to require high minimums. And also because it's ownership of private equity, which is security, but also not that transparent, it has a lot of a liquidity problem. Basically, people, when they invest in it, they have to like hold for a long time. And that's why we have only seen VCs or PE firms or family offices, basically the big money, invest in that. And if it goes to everyday investors, normally we see that it still requires like $100K US minimum, or sometimes even more than that. So the people actually are everyday investors are gated out. They couldn't really get in there, or even if they do, the work is really like, there's a lot of paperwork. It's really like complicated for everyday investors. Things doesn't add up. So Jarsy is thinking about, okay, the blockchain is innovation. It doesn't have to be only for crypto. It could be for real financial services. So we leverage blockchain as the infrastructure. So our tokens carries economic right, which is fully backed by the pre-IPO shares. Like when we buy SpaceX, one share, we issue one token, and then people can actually have the accessibility there. We would say that's much easier. And also compared to a lot of Web3 companies who are more focusing on liquidity, NFT, or meme coins, we think that's good for some of the users. If they like trading, they really like the speculation, it's of course their choice. But we do think majority of the young folks or the investors, they want to invest in something that they believe in. It's not just the money, right? Because we're also believing in Elon Musk. We also want to go with the AI era. There are tens of AI companies in Silicon Valley. By the way, I live here, so I know firsthand. There are a lot of AI companies there. They're doing really great, but they're all pre-IPO. Even OpenAI, right? Anthropic. How can everyday investors get in? So that's why we feel like we want to choose a path between the traditional brokers, the traditional players, and the Web3 solutions or communities that sometimes we joke around. We are not Web2, we're not Web3, we're Web 2.5. Yeah, we're in between, right? So we want to provide that economic interest opportunity for everybody to invest in. Because our mission is very simple. Financial accessibility is a human right. It cannot block people out. You have to make it more fair, more open, and blockchain here is trying to open up or rebuild Wall Street for it. Yeah. So definitely, we actually set our business in the US. We're a US-based company. It's registered in Delaware, and our headquarters is in Bay Area. For that reason, we want to make sure we have full compliance, and we want to go after in a similar path of Coinbase Circle. Make sure we're doing the right thing here. So that's why we believe that we are bridging the DeFi world and TradFi. We established SPVs, which is dedicated structure for holding the underlying assets. We work with legal teams, the legal firms, and we follow the spirit of regulations under SEC, even though they haven't issued anything about tokenization regulation yet. So like stablecoin was built many years ago. This year, we finally see the Stablecoin Act. So hopefully we can work on tokenization, and many years later we can have something like that. But right now we follow Regulation D in the US, which is require credit investors, but Regulation S outside the US, which is more friendly to investors. We want to make sure that we have that compliance. So when we acquire 100 shares of SpaceX, which is already a market there, so a secondary market, that we as an institution go in there, acquire 100 SpaceX shares, put into that SPV. That SPV is dedicated for those assets. So it's protected, separate from the Jarsy company assets or company investment or money. So, and then we issue 100 tokens on the blockchain. So everybody can see that we have proof of reserve that we have 100 shares of SpaceX, and then we have 100 tokens on the blockchain. So whenever people buy one token, they know it's one-to-one backed, just like stablecoin, which is one-to-one backed by a US dollar. Yeah. Yes. Actually, we have a lot of interesting story there. At the very beginning, the users, they just dewound SpaceX. That alone actually is already a very successful story. Yeah, because back then, I remember when it started, SpaceX was around $120 billion. Sounds like that. That's already like a big number at that moment. But our investors, they were like, they believe in it. So they invest in our tokens. And later we see over the last year, SpaceX jumped from that to 180, 350, and the most recent round is about already 400 billion. So yeah, we think that's actually pretty amazing. That shows the power that when you grow with the company, it's not just like you're investing it, but you grow with it. You feel like you own that future. You're past that, part of that Elon Musk's Mars journey, right? We cannot all go to the Mars, but we can invest in going to Mars. Yeah, participating. So similar stories like Anthropic, AI company, also Circle. Actually, our investors invest in Circle on Jarsy at $25 each per share. So yeah, they're definitely the lucky one there. And this year we see Circle IPO. I think the highest was like nearly 300 something. So that was definitely a very cool story. But I think the most people are more excited about they share the journey. They actually be part of that instead of just watching it or waiting for the IPO. Yes, actually, I think I read Bitcoin white paper in 2009. I believe in it, and I know a lot of folks actually they believe in crypto. They actually go over the hurdles. They learn how to remember the address. They want to understand the concept of gas fee, everything. So they're the early ones. They also got rewarded by holding Bitcoin or Ethereum. So they're definitely tech-savvy people. But if we talk about blockchain for mass adoption, for everybody, it cannot be like that. Or remember back then when we go on the internet, we have dial in through a modem, and that thing was so weird. And they get exactly that. Yeah, we have to how that. And if that's the case, nobody will imagine, everybody globally actually use internet. And now we just grab our phone and the internet is there. We don't even know it's there. It's just like we're using it. So we think that we have to make sure that we don't have to ask people to be comfortable with the concept of wallets, gas fee, especially bridging. Even the pros sometimes have a hard time bridge assets between different chains. So Jarsy's mission is to make sure that we can provide everybody friendly experience. So we have simple signups, which is social login. You just log in with your email, and we also take stable coins or friendly on-ramps. When users give us fiat money, we actually give them stable coin as well. And we also have education content there to help them to understand how to use this. Everything is still on blockchain infrastructure. They still have a wallet, they still have an address. If they are pro, they can actually send in the money. But we want to make sure that even average investor who never really touched blockchain before, they can have a smooth experience, just like Coinbase or Robinhood. So in short, we want to say our product is crypto native transparency under the product. But on top, we want to offer user experience token on chain, and also want to make sure that custody is verifiable. So I think that hybrid approach, Web 2.5 approach, is actually the key. It's critical. If we only serve the crypto natives or insiders, it become like a blocked by something, right? It's still not serving everybody. So that's why our approach is we want to make pre-IPO investing as easy as buying a coffee in Starbucks. Just come in, just find the product you want to invest, and then click a button. That's it. Yes. So from the very beginning, we're trying to solve a global problem. So when I interview with the young folks, millennials and Gen Z, it's a global problem. Literally everyone in the US, in Asia, especially I also talk to folks in Korea, and they also have the same problem that we cannot access the best opportunities, and while we can invest meme coins from everywhere. Actually, if you put two problems together, you see that, blockchain for pre-IPO, then that makes sense. So we believe one world, one chain, so that people can actually access from everywhere. This is the advantage, one of the advantage of blockchain. So we have that in mind at the very beginning. We want to have a global participation, even though right now the landscape of regulatory is still segmented. Different countries have different rules, but we want to just follow, because we set the company in the US, we want to follow Regulation S and equivalent frameworks. So non-US investors, including Korean folks, can definitely participate legally. The process is actually pretty straightforward. International investors, just feel free to register with email login, complete KYC, ML, which is identity verification. We still have to do it because we consider ourselves as a fintech. We will go with the compliance path. That's why we have KYC there. But after that, user will actually gain access to all the tokens, pre-IPO tokens. And of course, the users can use USDC stablecoins, or if they want to give us fiat money, we can also offer USDC or stablecoin to them so they can invest. We actually already see a very strong interest from Asia, especially Korea. We have actually Korean users on the platform as well. The investors really they are actually very sophisticated. They are young, but they really know a lot of knowledge. So it's really great to see early adopters of both technology and finance on the platform. So actually, Jarsy starts from the simple mission, right? People ask for SpaceX. So we didn't pick SpaceX. Yeah, of course, I love Elon Musk. Elon is great. I always watch the rocket launch there. But the users, the millennials and Gen Z globally, actually, they ask me about SpaceX. I think they meant pre-IPO, but what they said is just SpaceX. We want SpaceX, right? So that's the first product we offer because we also believe that's the right opportunity for everybody. But later, we actually just hear from the users. We don't want to peak what we like. Even though we are based in Silicon Valley in the Bay Area, it doesn't mean that we know every good companies, and we're not a financial advisor. So what we learned from the young folks is that they think financial advisor or whoever tell them to do, that's too old. That's the previous model, right? For the older generations. The young folks have internet. They just want to go there and do their own research, make their own decision. It's their money, their investment. So we want to follow that spirit. So our approach is more like a bottom up, but we do have some filters there. One is we want to make sure it's definitely a strong investor demand. A lot of users on our platform should just demand that clearly. And if they don't like it, we probably don't really do it. And two, we want to also make sure we go on the market and find out there should be a reliable second market already there. If they're in the secondaries, which are insured as a quality, so we make sure that we know this is a good opportunity, solid opportunity, and we should make sure that. And also, we should make sure we're not guaranteed this is a good investment. We're just saying the companies are really good companies. Based on our knowledge, we believe they have long-term growth opportunities and potentials. Combine all those together, will these companies. And that's why we have companies like SpaceX, of course, Anthropic, Perplexity. They're all industry leaders in their own way. And also with massive cultural and technology impact. So that's why we start from there. But that being said, we're not intend to stay in US only. There are great companies globally everywhere. We actually have the plan to explore opportunities in Europe, in Asia. For example, there are fast-growing companies in AI, fintech, clean energy in those areas. Our long-term vision is to offer a true global portfolio. So the investors from Seoul to New York can access the same thing, can access the world's most excited private investment just on one platform. That's a great question. Yes, we will. We hope if we do the work right, we will. We're definitely very lucky. We're very grateful here. We have one of the best VC firms there. First of all, Breyer Capital, they have similar vision as we do. Actually, they are the early investor of Circle. They actually lead Circle Series A. They see the global stablecoin trend before everybody. They understand the blockchain, but they understand how economic work, how financial world works. So they are definitely the industry leader there. So when we talk to them, we show them what we are building, and they were like, oh, this is exactly what we think the future should be. The stablecoin will actually have a global adoption, and then people should do something with stablecoins. So if they can invest in the things they like, stablecoin on that USDC infrastructure, we are rebuilding the Wall Street and making it a better one for global people. So we share that vision, and we feel super lucky to get investment from Breyer. And Karman is actually backed by my former boss, Travis Kalanick. He's one of the founder there. There are a bunch of other great CEOs backing that Karman VC, and they actually love what we're building. They actually love the team. Both my co-founders actually also work with me at Uber and later Afterpay, Square. So we have been knowing each other for a long time. And Karman's like, this is a great team. OX Uber must be fighters. Let's do it. So they believe in us. We're super grateful. But along with those two firms, and actually we have 35 angel investors, also really famous people in the industry. I think they all believe in this is a huge market that locked by the gates. It's not accessible for everyday people. And one of our angel investor actually got opportunity to invest in SpaceX back then at $8 billion. And he was like, this is a great company, we should invest. But the requirement was $500,000. And he was still a little bit relatively early at that stage in his career, so he couldn't access. But now he wants to actually help us, enable us to also build that for the young folks to really have this chance open it up with the new technology. So we earned their trust, I would say, in two ways. One is we set up a business in the US, and we set a clear approach to have compliance roadmap. We're not just building a crypto project, we're building a bridge between crypto and financial world. Second, the team also have been in the Silicon Valley for many, many years. Facebook, Uber, Afterpay, Square. This is how exactly we know how can we build the product for millions of people and even more than that. So the support from the validates that Jarsy is not just an idea, it's a true platform with the potential to really redefine how the private market works. This is still early days of tokenized pre-IPO or tokenized assets. So I guess more and more people nowadays start looking into it, like Robinhood, Coinbase, they'll talk about it. We see a lot of people coming from different angles. Some of them are more Web3, some of them are more Web2. We are sort of in the middle as Web 2.5. I believe we are actually at the start of a new asset class. Just like ETF open up in institution strategy to retail investors, we are actually opening up the private market, tokenizing that pre-shares to retail investors. So in the future, we think that blockchain will bring us three key shifts. One is global accessibility. This is our mission because we want everybody globally can have the equal opportunity, same opportunities. So investors worldwide can participate in the same opportunity, breaking down the geography boundaries. And two, blockchain is for transparency. Everything is up there. It's not hidden in the database. So if the company says that we have 100 SpaceX tokens, everybody can verify it on the blockchain. And we are on Base, which is the chain developed by Coinbase. So our users actually go there and to check. So we believe transparency is the key. And also liquidity. Blockchain comes with liquidity. If everybody has the same access, they can actually find a way before the sort of exit plan or IPO of all the private investments. So we believe that those shares may be held by the company, but the token itself can have the liquidity before the IPO. So they'll be able to trade on chain with much more liquidity. So we believe those three things we will see for this new sort of asset class. Yes, yeah, I mean, TokenPost is definitely one of the best media there. We have huge respect, definitely grateful, and especially be able to talk to the listeners or subscriber of TokenPost. So our role, Jarsy's role, is simply the infrastructure layer that empowering this new trend. So we actually believe that financial system that we have right now is going into another era because it's going to serve the new generations, millennials and Gen Z. And we know millennials, Gen Z expect openness, fairness, and global access. They actually ask for it from every perspective. So our message to everybody is simple. The best opportunities shouldn't be only reserved for privileged ones. And whenever you are, you're in New York, you're in Seoul, or you're in Beijing, anywhere, you should be able to invest in the companies that's shaping the future. You should be able to grow with them, not just watching them, but actually own part of it. We invite everyone to join us on this journey. We're still definitely in early chapters, but together we can make finance more inclusive, more transparent, and more exciting than ever. Thank you.